'cause I need to be swept away, swept away. I'm cornered in the cold where you left me. Left again, left again. Oh, there's a jungle in my head growing wilder. And it's killing me, killing me. I cannot let you go. I cannot let you go. I cannot let you go. I cannot let you go.
Start this show laughing. We just we never have that song timed up correctly. That makes it all the more fun. Welcome to the test studio. Hi, Jill. I love it. Alec is up at 3 a.m. You're crazy. I don't think I'd be up at 3 a.m. I love it. I love the commitment, but that is intense.
I love Alec's productions. Yeah. So good, so informative. If you are a newbie or an old bee, check them out. Very, very, very good tutorials. Really, really awesome.
Absolutely. Well, hi to everyone. If I didn't throw up your comment, hi. Let us know where you're watching from and let us know what your studio setup is. I know lots of you probably have much more complicated setups than what we'll be talking about today, but would love to hear, your favorite piece of gear or the one thing in your studio you love. Feel free to drop those in the comments. In case you missed it and you're sitting here like, hang on, this chat looks a little bit different. We have joined forces with our friends at TubeBuddy all month long. Here in March, we have been contributing into a fundraiser called Creators for Ukraine. So that is what that is. So if you are just wanting to help out in any way that you can to help support all of the people in Ukraine that are facing just this horrific war, feel free to hit that donate button. All of the different funds that you contribute are going to, there's a ton of vetted organizations that are a part of Creators for Ukraine. And so this is put on by TubeBuddy and YouTube, and we are just helping to contribute to it. So thank you for everything that you're doing there. Jill's like, very serious. Sorry for the seriousness, but we
No. I was gonna show it's super easy. If you're on YouTube, there's a little donate button that pops right up. You can just hit that and go straight through. You just do the double click on your side of your phone to allow payment. It is very quick and easy. I highly recommend
it. I love it. And I love that camo is in the house because that's this camera right here is my phone. Ooh. I am low tech today. So let me know how it's going. I'm low tech on purpose because we are talking about simple setups. Ken was like about to turn on my big light and I was like, no, don't. We are talking simple setups today. So I am rocking camo. I'm using my built-in microphone. So let's see how this goes. We're playing around. This is the test studio, and I'm using a Dasny light that's in our gear guide. But I'll make sure I drop that link a little bit later if you don't know where to find that. But it's a really fairly affordable light, but it's similar to what you could get on Amazon for fairly reasonable. So all in. Pretty cheap, other than the cost of my computer.
Happy. Katie, I think that I have a teleprompter to view, but I can see better on my computer screen. I think that you are very clear. You're easy to see. I can see your images in the background, so things aren't blurred out as much as you might see on like a mirrorless camera or a mirrored camera,
Mhm.
but I think that it's a huge upgrade from most of anything that I've seen on Zoom. So I think you always look good, Katie girl, but I think you look good.
Yeah, I'm so glad we're doing this one because I feel like I've been watching in the community, and I see you if you are one of these people who are like, all you people have like the coolest possible studios and gear and stuff and stream decks and all of the cool things. And if you are brand new into live streaming or you're brand new to Ecamm, I get it. I get that you're probably like, hang on, I wasn't ready to drop thousands of dollars on my studio quite yet, or I want to be able to start a little bit simpler. Again, we're talking kind of easier setups, and I think we're also going to go through just some of the basics. You ready to get into the basics, Jill? I'm going to do
Yeah,
basics and then let you do
let's
all the
be
awesome
so
stuff.
basic. No, no, no. We're gonna jump right
You're
into
going
it
to be
because
basic.
the things that you're bringing up today are so important. I remember when I first joined Ecamm, my only goal, the only reason I downloaded Ecamm was so that I could live stream to my followers and put their comments on the screen. That
Yep.
was it. For me, that blew my mind
Yep.
because I did so much video production and it could just save me so much time and really make it feel so much more interactive as opposed to like, oh, so and so's asking a question and here I am reading my phone and then I'm going to answer the question. To put the comments up is huge. So even if that is
Mhm.
all that you are doing in Ecamm, congratulations. It is such a
Got it.
better viewing experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Just purchase a teleprompter. That's awesome. You'll have to let us know what you think about it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So I'm going to jump in. This is basic, and this is cribbed from all of you amazing Ecamm people out there who are constantly sharing with us your various gear guides and guest checklists and everything. But I thought it was worthwhile to do just like a quick reminder because I feel like a lot of what goes into professional video quality has to do much more with a knowledge and an understanding of photography and videography and lighting than it does really with in many cases the camera that you buy or the gear that you have. I mean, certainly there's a difference between what's built into your computer versus a very expensive mirrorless camera, but you can make pretty small easy tweaks by just having a pretty good understanding of some of these basics. So here this way. Here are our six things that you should be keeping an eye on as you're getting into this, or as you're changing your setup or making any kinds of tweaks to what you're doing. The first, the internet. Dan Holloway and I did like a really fun live stream way back in the day. I'll have to grab that link and post it so that everyone can find it. But there's a few things to consider when thinking about the internet. So the first, which is the obvious one, is do you have enough internet to be able to live stream? So what
Yeah.
you're looking for are your upload speeds. And so you can go to sites like speedtest.net. There's a number of different kind of speed tests that you can do online. Take a look at what your download and your upload speeds are, because those upload speeds are really going to make a big difference. And the higher the better, but you definitely don't want to be trying to live stream if you are below 5. If you're below that number 5, it's dicey. It's going to be dicey. You can do it, but
Yeah.
it's going to be dicey. And so it's just something to know and something to make sure that you're double checking. Obviously, wired internet versus Wi-Fi, always going to be a better connection. So if you can do that, take advantage of that. And then the other thing that I think many of us don't think about, but worth noting here, is that the time of day really
Yeah.
matters. So, if you think about kind of, where you are, so whether you're in a residential neighborhood or you're, a business in a business suite, if you're in an office space, like if you're, in like an office building and you're running on, business internet, this probably doesn't matter as much. But if you are a content creator or an entrepreneur and you're doing something at home or you're in a residential neighborhood, every time those kids get home from school, every time it turns to 7 or 8 o'clock and everyone at your neighborhood is binge watching the latest season of Bridgerton, everything's going to go a little bit downhill. All those people are jumping onto your internet and you are sharing that internet with everyone else. So it's worth considering as you're scheduling things out or as you're thinking about when you're going live. If you're on Wi-Fi and you're in a residential area, the timing really matters a lot.
Yes.
Something to consider for sure.
And if you're going to go on location, Never trust what you are told. Make
Don't trust
sure
anyone.
that don't trust anyone. I have been told plenty of times for corporate live stream productions, paid gigs that like, "Oh, no, our internet is, like, banging, it's so good."
It's the
And
best.
then there's firewalls or, it's a public Wi-Fi that if I was going to a dance competition to stream there and then every mom and dad and aunt and uncle are on that same Wi-Fi. So for I mean, on I could make another video about what I do for when I'm on the go. I use something called the PEP wave.
Mhm.
It does dual bonding between two cell lines, also can bond with Wi-Fi or wired in Ethernet. So there's lots and lots of options. If this is all like a foreign language to you, download Speedify. That's also a really super great resource. It's not going to necessarily double your speed, but
Mhm.
it gives you it kind of gives like a fallback. So if this goes out, then it'll keep your stream going and switch from your wired internet to your Wi-Fi or from your Wi-Fi to your hotspot. So
Yeah.
Speedify, and I'll add this to our description in our little shared Google
Our helpful
document in the
links.
description.
Our helpful links.
But Speedify
I'm laughing
is
at this
is
one. I'm a diehard IT crowd fan, so yeah, let's not break the internet. Okay,
no.
let's make sure that we are approaching it correctly. But yeah, no, I think that's all great. There are a ton of things available to you, and from very simple and easy and cost effective all the way up to very expensive, big
Yeah.
budgets. And so you should think about where you are on that. On that trajectory and what makes the most sense for you. But at a bare minimum, know what you have. So like
Yes.
know whether you're in a residential area or in your business area. Know do speed tests often so that you can see
Mhm.
exactly where you're at. Do them before you go live or do a quick test to just see how things are going. And if you can make any kind of contingency plan, whether that's a Speedify or you're able to invest in making sure that you have a wired option in your home office space or studio space, that'll go a really long way in improving the video quality. So that's number one. These go in order of importance. So you may think that we would say video first, but we are not saying video first. We are saying internet first, and we are saying video fourth. So definitely something to consider. Lighting is number two, and the reason it is above audio and video is because it really makes or breaks. I think it probably in some ways could be somewhat interchangeable with audio
Yeah.
because
I
really,
think 2 or 3 depending on your
yeah,
situation, but like you are about to say, and I'm cutting you off to say, if
no,
you have no lights, you cannot take a picture, you cannot do video. Or if you're next to a window, which can be great, but it's a
Mhm.
day that's very potentially cloudy, and it can like, I remember Ken and Glenn live streaming a few times, and they were
And
battling
darker,
with to pull the
darker,
shade down
yeah,
or to put it up.
yeah.
So you can really lose all of your footage or be totally blown out. So bad lighting, if you can't control your lighting, and even with cheap lighting can fix a lot of problems. But yeah, it go ahead, Katie. Sorry, totally cut you off.
No, that's absolutely true. So yeah, you want to be able to control your lighting as much as possible. So, it may seem great, or you may have seen a lot of videos out there. People have told you that it's just no problem. Just sit facing a window and the natural light looks fantastic. And it does. It looks awesome until it doesn't, until it gets dark, or you did your test at like 10 in the morning and it looked fantastic, but your live stream's actually at 7 at night and you just didn't think about that. Or you tested and everything looked amazing on Monday, and your live stream's on Tuesday and it's pouring rain outside and the lighting has changed. You are not in control of the sun. Some of you may
Turns
be,
out.
but turns out none of us are in control of the sun. So I think as much as you're able to, having some kind of additional light, artificial light that you can have in your space. And again, you
Yep.
can start fairly affordably and work your way up but get yourself a light. There are lots of recommendations out there. Figure out exactly where you need to position it. Most of those lights have, a dimming, and they have temperature built into them, either with a remote or on the back of the light itself, or potentially through even an app on your computer or on your phone.
Yep.
Play with it a little bit. Diana Gladney is awesome at this. She's always like, buy it and then use it for a little bit before you rely on it. So Spend your time
I
figuring out
had
exactly what the lighting will look like in
if
your
you
actual
are
live
I'm
broadcast.
sorry.
Go ahead.
If you are using green screens, keep in mind that you may need to add extra or creative placement with your lighting. I did a test
Mhm.
for a dual interview. We had to be socially distant. We both had green screens, all these backgrounds. We were ready to go. I did all of my tests in a classroom with lots of windows, and although I thought I
Mhm.
was controlling all the light, of course, there was all this spillover from the natural lighting. So we went to live stream and it was 4 o'clock. And here in Massachusetts, it was getting dark. And so what happened was I had the subjects lit well, but the green screens were no longer lit well. So I had to keep tweaking. Luckily, you can do this in Ecamm, but I had to keep tweaking the percentage of how much I
Just
was having the green screen,
more lights,
which
more
pretty much
brightness.
meant their hair was like looking natural to then, like, looking like not because, if you turn up that green screen too much. So anyways, that was a big lesson I learned about lighting and time of day and green screens. So if you like green screens, they definitely have a use and a purpose, but
Mhm.
I have found that they always need extra lighting, and there's lots of different ways to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, when it comes to lighting, I'm by no means a professional at all of this, but what I have certainly learned in the last couple of years is that it's it may not seem like it, but it is so much better and easier in many ways to physically move and adjust the light on the actual light itself than to be, have things in the wrong spot, or, have
Mm,
a camera that's not positioned in the right place and then try to mess with that digitally. Like, you want to, zoom on your camera if you're able to. You want to like control the settings on the light, because then
yep,
if you do need to make those tweaks later, you've got it exactly as good as you're going to get it in your space. Then having that digital option within Ecamm will help you, tweak it and get it to
yes.
perfection. But you don't want to be doing all of that digitally in Ecamm.
No,
You want to be able to have that, looking as good as possible in the actual physical space with the physical adjustments, like moving it closer or further away or making sure it's in the right spot. So take that time and get it set up. If you can leave it, great. If you need to move it, put a little piece of tape or mark where it was, kind of its perfect spot so that you can get it back there. But
mhm,
quality will I promise you, like, you could use even the, like, quote unquote cheapest possible gear out there and you can make it look awesome just by thinking through the positioning of the room, where things
yes.
are, and playing around with it a little bit till it looks great. Audio.
Who needs audio?
Who needs audio? Yeah.
Audio's not important.
Well, you've probably heard this, and many people here in the chat will shout this out loud and clear, but if they can't hear you, they're not going to stay for a live stream, even if your video quality looks awesome. You'll get a lot of like,
Yep,
"We can't hear you. You're on mute. Your sound is quiet. You need to turn it up." There's nothing worse than when people can't hear you or the audio is coming and
yeah.
going. So, as much as
Bad
you're able to,
audio Yeah, bad audio is unwatchable,
it's unwatchable.
if that
Yeah, it's
makes sense.
unlistenable. Yeah, so I think, if you're gonna make an investment out of all of these different things, that's probably where you want to spend your money. There certainly are affordable options out there, and like I said, I'm doing it. I'm rocking the MacBook Pro microphone right now. It's a little scary for me. I kind of wanna hold back to my. Oh, I bumped my camera. I want to be back to my microphone that I love and know and trust. But
What,
so far so
this
good.
beautiful
I
microphone?
know, yeah. My sad Shure MV7 is looking at me like, you betrayed me. But it's good to test and play around with. Um,
Absolutely.
I think that's really important. But yeah, we just did a huge audio workshop. We'll be getting those files out to everyone soon here. But audio is really important. So understanding what you sound like, doing a test beforehand if you're able
Mhm.
to, take that time and just do a quick recording or go live into like a group to test it all out. Um, these last three are like the fun stuff, right? so,
Yeah,
I
and that's
think
the stuff we tend to be drawn to first, and that can hold up the rest of our production or the rest of us going live, and so I think if you can if you can ignore 4, 5, and 6 if you're just starting, because what you wanna do is be creating content, and like so many other YouTubers have said, if you're starting from scratch or you're kind of just getting your toes wet and trying to figure out what's gonna work for you, think of your first even I won't even say 100, but like their first 20 videos or first 50 video, whatever, as practice runs. So what you do need to have is good internet if you're going to be live streaming, your lighting and your
The rest won't
audio.
matter if you don't have that.
Exactly. So don't get hung up on those details because I mean, gosh, so many people that I love watching and listening to have very, very simple backgrounds, or sometimes you don't even see them. It's just all B-roll. So don't I mean, it's important as you're building a brand eventually, especially if you're producing for other people to think of these things, but get those first 3 right, or else you're not gonna be able to have an audience at all.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm going to shoot over here for just 1 second. So I want to show you guys the difference. And we talked about this last time as well. But all right, here, look. So here on the left is camo. This is my phone. It is a 2020 iPhone SE. So it doesn't even have the fanciest cameras built into it the way that the other newer phones do. But it looks great and it makes a big difference compared to what's on my built-in webcam. And this is a newer MacBook. This is the MacBook M1. MacBook Pro, and that's the built-in webcam. So you can see a difference. In my opinion, anyway. You guys let me know in the comments what you think. But I think the phone camera really is a better camera, and obviously some of you are going to have the newer, better phones, even, or maybe even a couple of them as you've upgraded your phones to be able to use and have that flexibility of being able to change cameras over. And again, we all have these. So it's not something that, it's not something that you're like, oh shoot, I got to go out and buy another camera. We all have them in our pockets, in our purses, on us. The kids have them. Everyone has these. You can have a whole team of these to be able to really give like a very complete look, and it can look really professional. There's a lot that you can do with it. We're for the most part team camo over here, but there are lots of different options out there for how you can connect in your phone or your iPad, any of those different devices
Yep.
that these
I
days.
think there's one Shoot,
Shoot,
Filmic
yep.
Pro.
Shoot, Filmic
I've even
Pro.
played with the Duo one. Someone said
Which is owned by
yeah,
Elgato now, does a great job with that. So, as you're thinking about investing in a camera and you're like, "Ugh, I just can't quite get there yet with a mirrorless option, your phone might be a better option than spending money on a cheaper webcam. You really should kind of make that decision and price that out. Or maybe because you already have your phone, that gives you two options. You get a webcam and you have, a phone or a couple of phones connected in this way.
yeah.
Yeah. So Matt was saying, seems like the webcam color is a little blown out. So, I mean, that's the other thing with something like this is that I have the ability as well to, in both camo actually and Ecamm, you have the ability to play with it. So like here I'm messing with the FaceTime camera. So like I can, as we said, kind of mess with the brightness of it. I can adjust the temperature. I can adjust the tint. So there, there's a lot of stuff, and same goes for the camo. Here on that side, I can play around with these kinds of things. So it does give you a little bit of additional flexibility to just get it looking exactly how you want it. And if you're able, again, to kind of leave that setup, set it and forget it, it makes it a lot easier as you're getting ready for your shows. Just be able to jump into your space, flick on that on switch on everything and be ready to go. You're going to have a higher level of confidence knowing that everything looks
Yeah.
well. So spend that time to play around and test with things. Just because you plug something in and you're like, oh, I don't like, how that looks, doesn't mean that it's not changeable. You can mess with those camera settings and be able to get really good quality off of something that may initially not seem like it's the best option. So
I found that to be true with Elgato's face cam. I did an unboxing and I was like, "Oh my god, I look red." And it was just
yeah,
very saturated on the red orange side, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't know if this is gonna work for me."
yeah,
Like an idiot. And then I was like, "Oh, it comes with software and I can tweak things." And I didn't have to really use all of the Ecamm settings. I just had to learn the face cam product a little bit, and
yeah.
it's not something I use all the time, but it's good as a behind the scenes camera, and it's a good option for people that aren't wanting to get into the
Mhm.
thick of it with those more expensive, more complicated cameras that we love.
Yeah, absolutely. Their iPhone is a secondary camera. Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're doing any kind of demo, so you want to be able to like have a camera pointed down at your hands, you're cooking or crafting or
Mhm.
doing, any of those kinds of things. Having a secondary camera shot already is adding, level of professionalism that's not possible in a lot of other a lot of other tools. So I think it's,
100%.
this is a good question. I wonder if the camo team could, I'm going to open up my camo. Oh, there you go. Yes, you can blur your background. Yeah, they do have some filters for sure. I actually haven't messed around too much with background blurring and things.
Katie, you need to take your own advice, girlfriend.
No. Well,
You're like, guys, play with it. I'm just kidding.
I know.
You've
Well,
been
when
busy.
I say that, I'll throw this guy under the bus. I won't say his name.
Do
But my husband and I attended recently like a virtual wine tasting, which was super fun. It was like a workplace experience that his company was offering. But this guy it was just like it was in a Zoom call, and he had like Zoom's one of their like filters on, so it blurred his whole background because he probably was in a space where he had who knows what in his home office or bedroom or wherever he was teaching us wine tasting from. But it just looked fake to me, like in a way where it was distracting because it kind of kept coming and going. Like parts of his face were also blurring out as he was moving, and I just have such a kind of visceral reaction to that as a viewer that every time I kind of see those as digital options, Camo, don't hate me, but it's one of those things that I tend to avoid. I think it's one thing when it's actually, you're getting that effect as a bokeh effect that's caused by a lens. A physical lens is a really different kind of experience than when you're doing something like that digitally. So I would just challenge you to think through why you might be blurring a background or what kinds of filters you're putting over, the kind of content that you're producing. If if it's fun and it makes sense to your show or something that you're teaching, great. If you're, leading a virtual wine tasting, maybe just clean up your background or, or put yourself in front of just a plain white wall so that it's not distracting or be okay with being in your kitchen space. I think, natural backgrounds number 5 here in our list. I think it's really important to think that through. And I think it's okay to be in an authentic space as long as it's tidy and you kind of are taking a look at what's in your space. It doesn't have to be like this very, super cool, like, crazy lights and your brand everywhere and or in the virtual ways to get there. I think even just small things like, seeing what's in the shot and seeing what shows up to people and what's in the background can really go a long way. So like I have my bowling pin, and it like things like that add a little bit of character and personality. I don't think it's good to not be afraid of those sorts of things. If I need an 8th camera, add in that 8th camera. Come on.
Victor also mentioned in the chat that he does a lot with NDI. If you don't know what that is, I would recommend looking up. I think if you just search Ecamm NDI, you'll find tutorials on that. Because you can use your phone or other cameras like the Mevo camera and other options as completely wireless cameras. There's a little bit of latency sometimes, but you can do that. So just wanted to throw that in there. I see you, Victor. I remember you doing that at Social Media Marketing World.
Victor's in IT, so he's got all the fun tricks.
He has the patience and the knowledge to be like, how do these talk to each other?
Yeah, exactly. So I think as you're thinking about video, think through the kinds of effects that you're looking to get. Think through how many cameras and camera shots you are looking to have in your, think content first, and then think through ways that you can be able to use the tools that you already have or, be able to upgrade as it makes sense. This is like incredibly silly, but fun tangent story. When I first started at Ecamm, I was literally using my built-in webcam on my laptop to be able to do my first couple of live streams. I was terrified, was like visibly shaking. Was every time Glenn was like, "Want me to do this for you?" I was like, "Absolutely, please do this for me."
I need to find these videos.
So there were many of them that I just was like, remove, unlisted, but I should definitely surface some of them. But in one of them, because I was using literally the built-in camera on my MacBook, I'm like, the camera quality like looks terrible. Like, we should get some more cameras in the office. And I was just like so self-conscious about that. And Ken walked over with his t-shirt, I can't even do it easily, and just wiped the lens on the top of it with his t-shirt. And it was crystal clear. And I was like, wow, particularly if you are going to use that camera that is built in, and your phone probably in some cases too, if you're like me and it's your phone's like in your bag, in your pocket, in the kid's pockets, being run around. all over the place. Take a second, wipe it, wipe it off. It is like the silliest possible thing, but it really can and does make a difference, and especially in that laptop because it's right. The camera is right where you are opening and closing your laptop, so your thumb is touching that way more than you want it to, and it does make a really big difference. So take my silly experience advice that it may not be that the camera is bad, it may just be that it's dirty. You need to clean it. Just one of the silliest possible things. We talked about backgrounds and sets, but I think again, like, it's a great time to be able to express your personality and really think through like what you want in that background. You know, don't be so afraid to show off some personality, or like as long as it's clean and tidy and not too distracting, you know you can do a lot of cool things in the background, and a lot of cool things with light too. There's a lot of people, Felicia, Jill, you've got one there too in the background, but there's a lot of people who do like have really nice kind of ambient lighting or little lamps or candles or things.
This one smells so good, so it like it gets me in the mood
It's
to like
relaxing,
just
centering.
relax and think things through, and yeah.
I was expecting Jill to lick her iPhone lens. Absolutely. Let's see that. I love it. It is an actual thing. It's so, I will never forget that moment. I was like, oh yeah, right. It is
Thanks, boss.
it's one of those things. Obvious thing. Yeah, so yeah, give some thought to your backgrounds, to your sets. And if a green screen makes a ton of sense to you, that's awesome. They do, as Jill said, you need to think through like how well they're lit and what kinds of backgrounds and like positioning in it so that things don't look too fake. But I would challenge you that you probably have some cool stuff laying around that you may not need that, depending on, you may not need to blur it out or put a background.
Even just a plain wall. Like at the end of the day, if what you're saying is your content, if what you're demoing, you might not need to have anything that's over the top, or you like, oh man, I can't remember who it was, but there's an artist that does cards. I'm just blanking on her name. I want to say it's Audrey, but she's an incredible YouTuber, really, really awesome creator.
Mhm.
And her background has lots of like fabric or colored paper, and it's so clean, and her whole set is just so bright.
Yeah.
On Infulgence, their background is white and bright and crisp,
Yeah.
and they really stand out in front of that. And so I think it all depends on your personality, but if you're not there yet, but you want to create, just create anyway. No one is judging you that bad. But messy things, and then like you said, like the fake
We're judging your mess.
blurring and
We're judging your mess. We're judging when you're hiding your mess and we think you're hiding your mess. We're judging in all those cases.
Listen, I won't, because I can't, because every camera is fixed, and we'll just leave it at that. But on my floor, what is out of sight is a flipping disaster.
Oh yeah, it can be a total disaster. Yep.
But this little corner over here
hiding in this parameter is fine. Yeah.
Is good enough. Yep.
Love it. Oh yeah. See, when you're doing behind the scenes, every pop of color, people like to be able to live streaming has that level of authenticity in it, which is why many people get into it. So don't take that away by trying to hide so much of the background. I think it does make a big difference. All right, I want to be cognizant of time because I know, Jill, you want to show different cameras and mics and things. The last one here on our list is branding. These this awesomeness, this hot pink is all on Unfulgence, who designed all of this in Ecamm Live, which is still mind-blowing to me. But they make it really easy and really fun. But it doesn't have to be super complicated. Here, you know what? I'm gonna show you in I'm gonna give myself 2 minutes. I'm gonna build a new scene. I'm gonna go into live demo mode. All right, here we are, live demo mode. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna build a new scene. Okay, I'm gonna shift this out of the way because I have a background on my computer. Oh, too many windows. Too many windows. Here we go. So there's a background on my computer. This one was made for me, but there are ones like this in Canva, right? And then you're going to come over here. You're going to do new camera overlay. Here I am, camo, right? And then we'll do another. Actually, we can just hold the Option key down. Right. And then we're going to add Jill in. So you can add like your branded colors and your personality pretty fast and easily. There's a scene, we can come in here and add in our names, mess around with all of this is not, Unfulgence are like, what the heck? This is why you don't design. But, but
I need.
it is amazing how easy. Of course, now I'm like, I don't like this font. This color is too dark and dark. But you can get the general picture that it really is pretty fast and easy to be able to bring your logo in, bring your brand colors in. If you have any cool, backgrounds that you've had, a designer or someone create, a lot of ours are just in Canva. You can bring all of those in really easily, and it's not that hard, and you don't need to do too much. So start small with just your branded colors and your logo, and then work up to more complicated, full backgrounds and scenes and things. But don't overthink it. I don't know. It doesn't need to be as demo mode. It doesn't need to be as crazy and over the top as we sometimes think it should be. So you can start really simply and add different elements on as you get better, but start with your brand colors and your logo. You should have all of that, or be thinking about all of that, even if it's a show you're doing for fun on a regular basis. Set up some brand colors for it.
If you have if you create a lot in YouTube and you have your logo, if you're only streaming to YouTube and you have your logo set up in your like YouTube studio or YouTube profile, you'll also get your own little logo on the bottom right-hand corner of your YouTube video.
Yeah.
So some of those things, I mean, if you didn't watch last week's episode, we highly recommend it because we talked a lot about our takeaways from social media marketing world and different tips and tricks and the importance of video, but also your why and where you can get content ideas.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, so go back to there because I mean, it's a matter of using what you have, right? Most of my videos that have the most views are not gorgeously produced at all, but they connect with people in an authentic way or in a fun way or in a humorous way, and those videos have like done the best because the content is relatable or helpful to people.
Yeah.
So if you run out of ideas, go back to last week's episode. Yeah, there's just a lot of resources there.
Yeah, steal our takeaways. Awesome. I'm going to shoot over to just you. You want to show your different mics and different things that you have?
So this main shot that I have here is the Sony ZV-E10. I always mess up those numbers and letters.
Sony ZV-E10. Yep.
Right? Okay. Yep. So that's this camera, and I really love this camera. But it's on the more expensive side, and I hear they're kind of on back order. But one of the cool things about it is this product highlighting. I don't have great lighting right there, but so this I have purchased many cameras before landing on this one, and so this one, the topic of today's message is not about expensive things, but this was something that I saved up for that Doc basically twisted my arm and said I needed to buy. I've been very happy with that purchase, but I'm gonna show you a few other options. Let me just go to the scene. So this shot right here, the color grading is not perfect on it, but this is my Canon 80D. And the reason why I wanted to show this, and actually I'm gonna switch microphones too, just to give you guys a difference. 1 second. Okay, I might be a little loud now, but that's okay. So I wanted to show you this because before I started doing videos, I did photography. And so I already had this Canon 80D camera for a bunch of sports photography that I did for my job and as a hobbyist. So this is I think $100 lens. It's like a pancake lens. It's like this. It's very, very small. But anyways, I just wanted to show you that to make this work as a camera, as a video camera, all I need to purchase was, a dummy battery from Amazon. So all I wanted was dummy battery, Canon 80D. and I purchased that, and it was like $30. So I have that in my camera right now. And then I have this plugged in via USB. So if I don't have, I have a Mac Mini, so I don't have a built-in webcam like Katie does. But the difference between my built-in camera and this is enormous, because it's just, I mean, I really do love this camera. It's not as my favorite anymore because thanks Doc making me get gas or whatever the heck that people call it. But anyways, so if you do photography, or if you've landed here and you have a DSLR camera that you really like, it is most likely compatible with Ecamm, and you can use it as a webcam pretty easily. All I do is plug in the dummy battery, and if you don't have a dummy battery, then you just use your regular battery, but have backups because they do drain pretty quickly when you do video. And then I have the USB cable going, but then if you want to upgrade even more and get even a crisper footage, then you can get a capture card. But if you just want to go from webcam to this, it is a huge, 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 huge jump. And then there's one other camera I'm going to show you. This is the Mevo.
I love this switching mics and cameras.
This, Katie, what did I call this in the green?
This is the stupid cheap microphone. It's very quiet. You may have to yell a little bit.
I'm projecting my voice. Okay, so this was, I want to say, the first USB microphone that I got. It's a toner microphone. It's a USB microphone. I don't use it much anymore, but I will say when I first started live streaming, my computer was so old, so the fans were going, so I couldn't use the built-in microphone like Katie's able to do today, because my computer was working too hard using Ecamm. So this was one of the first like webcams that I bought. It's the Mevo camera. It's still a few $100. But it's really great for behind the scenes. I tend to have this as my overhead camera on this pole up here. So having a webcam, it's also great because it can do NDI, but it's harder to control the lighting. As you can see, everything's kind of like a lot brighter, and it's a little bit trickier to make it look exactly how I want. And this microphone is not as fantabulous as my other options, but I will tell you, I needed immediately a microphone that was just separated from my laptop. So this was a good first step. And then from there, I've just spent all the money and all the things. But if you're wanting to only purchase a couple of things, I mean, I just creep on your favorite content creators and see what they recommend. My final point, I'm going to go back to here. Hold on. This is absolutely my favorite setup. I love this microphone and I love this camera. But the steps to get here, I didn't purchase these things until I was getting paid to do video production. And then I have one of my clients I'm on, what do you call it, retainer with a restaurant to do their Instagram, and all of that money I use, 50% goes towards my taxes and 50% goes towards upgrading my gear. So that's something you can kind of look at if you're like, I don't know when to pull the trigger or when to start spending a little bit more to look a little bit better or to make my workflow easier. There's many different ways to do this budget wise, but for me, I like to say, okay, any money that I get from this type of work, half of it's going to protect my broke ass when tax season comes up, and half of it's investing back in my company, whatever that might look like. But those are my little demos for the day.
I love it. And I want to answer a couple questions here, or have you answer questions about the dummy battery, because I this was a life-saving decision for me. Like you, have been into photography for years and years and years, well before I ever started live streaming or doing anything with this job. So I have a Nikon. It's a DSLR. Now I can't remember off the top of my head which one it is, but it's probably in the same kind of vintage or age as yours. And I still have it connected in, and I have a dummy battery with it, and it works pretty well. It's definitely a step up from my built-in webcam, and it made a big difference. And I sort of, that was my trajectory, was like built-in webcam up to the camera I already had that I could connect with USB, and then up to same thing. We have a kind of a fleet of Sonys here in the office and at home, A6400 is what's here in the office, and then I have a ZV-E10 at home. But yeah, the dummy. So the Sony mirrorless cameras, you don't actually need a dummy battery with. I think have them here as well, but they plug directly in and will take power from your computer or from your dock. But with the other models, with Canons and with Nikons, and certainly if you're using a DSLR, the dummy battery you can get them just on Amazon, or you can buy them from the manufacturer. But they allow you to basically it has a wire on the end of it, and you can basically put that into where the battery slot is on the camera, plug it into the wall. Because I've done this. I need to dig up some old videos so that you can all see my brilliant moments. But I did an interview with Kevin Colby. Shout out to Kevin. And halfway through the interview, I think it was like this kind of thing, and it just like shut off and froze my face like that. And it took me a second to realize even like what had happened. I was like, oh my goodness, what's happening with my camera?
Right.
I'm panicking. I look terrible.
Shutter sound.
The shutter sound, and then the light. I think it had like a little light on it, and I was like, oh, what happened? And I'm just like madly panicking in the middle of a live stream. But and I had charged up the battery beforehand. It's an older camera, and it didn't have a long battery, and so it just sucked it all the way through until it turned itself off. So, so Sonia, you don't. Doc will tell you.
Doc's yelled at me before about me not needing a dummy battery. If he's still in here, listen, buddy, let me tell you, I have an issue with my camera. So I have recently purchased a dummy battery for my Sony ZV-E10 because I think, especially if I'm streaming via USB, it's using more battery than it is charging. So
interesting.
I have done lots of tests, but when if you're streaming for a long period of time, look at me, am I frozen again?
Yep,
that's wonderful.
Internet number one.
So yes, I just purchased a dummy battery for my ZV-E10. So even though I don't necessarily need it, I mean, it was $30, and I'm going to use it because I couldn't predict when it was going to die on me. And then it would be like battery is not deflated, but some type of sad word like that, where I'm like, oh,
you're like, uh-oh, battery is sad. Help, battery out. But yeah, that's a great.
Can I say something not camera or
go for it.
Sound related? I just got to say, like, a little PSA. If no matter what your gear is, definitely make sure that you can be seen and can be heard. But from there, you don't need to do what dummy Jill did and buy all the things and like, oh, that's a new thing. Oh, that's a new thing. Oh, that's a new thing. Because I mean, I was even super tempted to do the Stream Deck pedal, but it makes no sense for me. I don't actually need it.
It's fun to buy things, but it's not necessary to buy them.
No. I mean, and I have my Stream Deck right here. If I was producing the show, I'd be utilizing a Stream Deck because it does just make it so much easier. But even before you spend that $100, get used to the software and understanding how to do the shortcuts on your keyboard just to switch from scene 1, scene 2. I mean, I do one at a company that I don't bring my Stream Deck always back and forth. So I know that Apple G is going to show the scene that just shows the guest. And Apple M is going to show my friend Meredith because she's the host of the show. Apple 3 shows all three of us up on the stage at the same time. So I highly recommend playing with the built-in features that Ecamm has, and even just the nice little overlays. And then now you can have your cameras move in or not. And you know what? Maybe you're never going to use some of those features, or maybe that's been the feature that you've been waiting for that's really going to, make you seem even more professional than you are, or as professional as you are. So make sure you can be seen and can be heard, and that you don't have anything that's wicked distracting. And then think about your messages and then see what's already here. I mean, in the description, we have a little Google Doc that will give you some different resources that you can look around and find tips and tricks from a whole bunch of awesome e-cammers. But there is a lot of built-in. And honestly, I keep saying if you're new, but truly there could be someone that's jumping in right now. Go watch Building Blocks, because it really does give you a step-by-step on how you can do any show. And because like they'll show you, this is how you can replicate this overlay that you saw on the news or that you saw on the Ellen show or whatever. And just learning how to do that, you're gonna take that in and then use Ecamm the way that you want. So Ecamm is like it starts off as a blank slate, and then anything you want to show or display or talk through or have flash up on the screen, you can do it.
Yeah.
I guarantee I do way too many different types of productions. Anything you wanna do, you can do, and so with the equipment that you already have,
Yeah.
and then really stock your favorite content creators, figure out some of the products that they really endorse,
Yeah.
and then, try things out.
Yeah, absolutely. And pay attention too to who those creators are. In our world, all of the creators that we recommend have test studios. Like I mean, their mission is to find the like coolest, best possible video equipment. They are live streamers. They are video producers. They are production people. And so in many cases, what they have in their studios, even though it looks incredible, is not necessarily what you need in your studio if you are a
Yeah.
teacher or if you are, you're creating your podcast with a couple of friends, or you really need to think about what your use case is. Someone like Doc Rock is testing and playing with absolutely everything because that's who he is and what he does. So it is that is a different use case. And yeah, some of that equipment is absolutely incredible, but do you need it? And if you do need it, do you need it right now, or can you work your way up to it? I think those are questions you're going to need to keep asking yourself. I love this is a really good point too, actually. They and
I saw
Diana
that
said this
comment
a lot.
and I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
The dummy batteries that are made by the manufacturers, are made for those cameras, and you do run the risk if you're buying like a generic one that something could happen. So if you've spent a lot of money on that camera, make sure that you are protecting it with the right things. I love that Melanie's on. Hello. Victor doesn't have a ton of gear. Oh, that's okay. You're doing amazing things. So I think that's what's great. Yeah. And yeah, all creators can
And
learn.
you know how to use your gear. I mean,
Mhm.
Victor, when we saw you at Social Media Marketing World, you were trying to live stream with something. There was internet connection issue, and you were going to use this, and you were like, "Oh, why don't I just have myself as a guest on my phone?" So
Mhm.
you had your
Yeah.
computer with the Mevo
Thinking
camera,
outside the box. Yep.
and then you joined as a
Mhm.
secondary camera on your phone. I
Yep.
mean, you probably have to make sure you didn't have any type of crazy, audio feedback issues, but still, that was your workaround, and I think people that are really successful in this field don't just say, "It's not working, this is dumb, someone needs to talk me through this, because that's ridiculous, and this is supposed to be plug and play."
Yeah.
You really have to give yourself a lot of time with your equipment, and then before you freak out, be like, "Okay, let me walk through this," and have your redundancies. Those are your backup plans. Like,
Mhm.
this is my favorite microphone, but this bad boy is right here, just in case I need it.
I know.
I
Don't be me. I'm always like, allow me to tell you all of the amazing things. And yet I still definitely was here in the office, and I spent the whole day building out scenes for this show and a show I'm doing later. Didn't check the gear at all until maybe 15 minutes before I was supposed to go live. And at that point, too late to run home. So I had, and because I'm not the only one in this space, like was missing my phone cable to plug my phone in. I had to run down the hall and grab one from the other space. I have been there. I've been there. I know that, we're all doing a ton of things, and it takes time to do those test runs or those practice runs, but give yourself some breathing space. It's okay if you don't pull it off every time, but set an intention to try and get, the thing that you were missing this time. I'm like, next time I'm going to double check my equipment at the beginning of the day, so I have time, later on to be able to run home if I need to. Remind yourself what those moments were that maybe didn't go perfectly, and set an intention to do it better next time. Those little steps will go a really long way. But you're not alone if you're making those mistakes, because
No.
I am making those mistakes almost every single week. All the
And you know
time.
what? You'll find the more that you create, the more that you play, you'll find what your preferred items are.
Yeah.
And really there's no shame or shade in trying things out and taking advantage of return
Yeah.
policies. I mean, I'm
Yep.
not saying to be a sketch bag. I'm
Yeah.
just saying there's some options out there.
Yeah, it's okay if it
Um,
doesn't work for you. If everyone everyone loves the ZVE10, and you get your hands on it and you're like, oh, doesn't work for my space, or it's not what I love.
yeah,
That's okay. You can
yeah,
return that and find the piece of gear that makes you feel your best and makes you feel the level of professional, the level of quality that you're looking for, I think is a good point.
I see a question from the Musician's Edge.
I know. Let
Which
me pull
is
up
interesting.
here.
So, actually, I used to work at a store in South Carolina called the Musician's Den.
Oh, there you
It was a
go.
very nice little music store. So, I've been trying to duplicate an overlay asset with a scene. You should be able to do what you're doing by you have overlay in one scene and just drag and drop it into another one, or you could duplicate that scene.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's how I do that. I'll make something in one scene. I'm like, "Oh, I want this in the other scene." You can also slide it to show in all scenes.
I was gonna say, figured you'd get there. Yeah, you could have this show all
Like,
scenes.
"Yeah, Jill, yeah, you can do that." Uh-huh. Okay, there you go.
Great
So you
question.
can
Though.
slide it in show in all scenes if you want.
Yeah, and you can also actually now, so we're
Control
back, but
C,
you can
Control
do
V.
Command C, Command V as well as an option. So there's what you think might works as of this moment. Well, we are nearing the end, so I want to shoot over to just highlight a couple of upcoming awesome things. The first one I don't have a slide for. I failed in my planning, but I'm just thinking about it now.
I'll mime it out. I don't know what you're gonna say, but I will mime it out.
Jill, will you mime this for me? We are throughout the month of April. So many of you in the live streaming space usually participate in LIDA, which is live streaming every day in April. If that's your thing, we are here to support you for it. If Vita is your thing, video every day in April, you're like, forget that. I don't want to live stream. I just want to create videos. Absolutely, we're there to support you. So we're doing what we're calling create every day in April. We're calling it CEDA, CEDA. That's the hashtag that we're using. So throughout the month of April, you can find us in the Ecamm community. I'm sure Paul or someone else will drop that link in, ecamm.tv/community. We are just going to be practicing and creating video every single day in the month of April. We're going to have fun prizes. We're going to do roundups every week on Ecamm Network News, which is Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, if you want to come create with us or you don't want to take on the whole month challenge, no worries. You can just come and try and practice and create and go live and get to know people better. It's just a really great opportunity to challenge yourself and push yourself. Come if you have a simple studio. Come if you have no studio and you just want to be able to build it out and ask for advice. We're absolutely here to help you. But that is coming up. I don't have a slide for that. I do have a slide for this. I am super excited. I am hosting.
Lady in there.
Look at these amazing women. So tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube, also on LinkedIn. I'm going to be talking all about what it's like to be a woman in tech. What does that mean? What are some of the challenges? Sharing some stories and some pro tips. Just talking in general about what it's like to be a woman in the workforce these days. So if you want to come and join us, everyone's welcome. Questions live or submitted in the next couple hours, definitely welcome. Next up tomorrow is Q&A time. So if you want to come and ask our fearless leaders some questions, usually it's a little bit of fun as we dive into the app and talk about feature requests and where things are going and what they're working on and everything in between. YouTube only, and that is tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. And the last one on my list is Alec, who is here. He was 3 a.m. That's the level of devotion that Alec brings to the table. ecammlivemasterclass.com is where you can sign up for his masterclass. It's like 126 videos, and he is constantly updating these. So if you're like, I just really need to jumpstart and get going in the world of Ecamm, this is your place to do it in, because he's just got some amazing videos. And if you're not there yet and you're like, I can't spend that right now, or it's not really, a good time for me, that's okay. It's always sitting here. And his YouTube channel, Take One Tech, is filled with just a ton of really helpful videos. So if you want to just get a taste and check out his videos for free up on YouTube, you're welcome to do that. If you're like, nope, I need Alec to hold my hand and help me through all of this, it is here for you. ecammlivemasterclass.com is the place to go. I know I'm jumping back to my scene. Back with Jill. I can't believe it, but it is 5:01. We've done it. We've done it.
We have
Simple
wasted
setups.
another hour of people's lives. Is that what you always think?
Yeah, we've wasted another hour, which I think I've totally stolen from, I want to say it's, oh gosh, a TV show or a movie where they're like, yeah, that's it. You've done it. You've wasted another perfectly good hour.
Congratulations. I'm going to make my scene be all of the cameras.
All the cameras. All right, we are going to dance it out. If you have more questions or you want to share your setup, you can always get in touch with us. Katie at ecamm.com, marketing at ecamm.com. Will just email us directly. Find us in the community. You can tag either Jill or I. Hang out with us next week. Drop a question in the replay. We'll make sure that we answer it, but lots of ways to get in touch with us. We'd love to hear what you have to think, what you have to say, what questions you have, everything in between.
We to know.
We need to know. I'm going to dance it out because I always forget to do this, so we'll see you next time.
I hold on to this storm 'cause I need to be swept away, swept away. I'm cornered.